workers. They work in the fields. As a kid, I grew up hearing people, rushing across my window, and a couple occasions I gave them water, right? So when I see what ICE agents are doing, I understand that they're trying to protect the law, so on and so forth. But is it not easier to change the laws for immigration processes when we see that America, or United States of America, benefits from immigration in several different factors and industries? For example, I used to be a project manager for a design development company. Majority of the contractors were hiring quote unquote illegal
We say undocumented, sir.
undocumented workers. But we saw the benefits that these contractors had in allowing these, undocumented people to work, right? So my question is, why are we not questioning what is easier here? To employ a whole bunch of people who, quote unquote, are creating, more problems systematically, like murder, right, of innocent people that are bystanders, which causes a dangerous environment, or two, change the laws for people to be able to have a better access to citizenship. That's where my concern is, right? So I just wanted to ask those questions here.
So let me just make sure I understand what you're saying, Ephra. You're saying you support ICE, but you don't necessarily support all of the tactics that they're using to detain or arrest and or deport undocumented immigrants. Is that what I'm hearing?
I support Border Patrol agents. Where I'm from, Border Patrol agents wear green and they protect the border. That's what I'm used to. That's what I've been used to for my entire life. I'm 30 years old. And if you're about to ask me about my party, I'm pretty much a moderate. But that's what I support. I don't support people invading homes, or I don't support people preventing people from attending work because they're stopping them based off racial profiling. I don't support that because, to be very frank, I fall under those categories as a Hispanic, as a Mexican American, and in fact, I've been told by people in dating applications when I reject them that I should watch out for ICE agents myself, right? Little do they know that I was born in Nebraska, right? So my thing is, I don't support racial profiling. I don't think it does any good. But I understand that they're trying to quote unquote protect the law, but the law is broken. The law needs fixing. There's no question in my mind about that at all.
Okay. All right. Let me go to John. John, what are your thoughts on ICE?
First of all, I definitely don't support ICE. And I think that we have an extremely intelligent panel up here. Just a second here. I definitely support what Nichelle, Sincere, Carolina have said, and much of what Aaron has said. As far as what you were saying, Ephra, you have to distinguish between immigration and ICE. ICE was created by Homeland Security, which was able to get its wherewithal because of the backing of the Supreme Court. Were it not the backing of the Supreme Court, they would have had nothing to stand on as far as making these federally enforceable, these actions. So, and generalizing against the immigrant community is wrong. Just, taking a whole segment of people and generalizing about them, profiling them, I think that that's just plain wrong. This whole situation with regard to whitey supremacy, this has been going on long before Homeland Security, long before ICE, long before any of this has existed. We have to go back to just after World War II with Operation Paperclip, and then you can move forward with everything else that's been part of that effort on a part of Nazism to take over this country. And it has gotten to a place now where because of Donald Trump doing what he did, he is, as far as I'm concerned, he's just like them. He's no different than them. I don't care if he lived in New York. It doesn't matter. He's upholding that. You are basically the people that you allow to hold you up, and that's what he's doing. So it's no different. So as far as that's concerned, look, a person, if you're not talking from a standpoint of history and looking at the larger picture, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing what's going on.
You have time, brother.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I
So
appreciate that. Efra,
I
I'll
want to
give you a
make a
minute to respond. He
distinction
did
real quick.
mention you.
Efra, hang tight.
Yeah, yeah,
Host is
absolutely.
talking. Host is talking.
You know, no, I'm giving Efra a minute to respond, and then I want to get B in, and then we'll go back down to the bottom of the panel. But again, please continue to tap the screen. We're having a mostly respectful discussion on whether or not folks support ICE, and if they support or not, why. You know, go ahead, Efra. What's your 1 minute response to John?
Absolutely. First and foremost, to hybrid human, I don't feel attacked. So whatever you're commenting downstairs, you can keep that to yourself, because I've read books and I don't feel attacked at all. But moving forward, I don't support, again, racial profiling at all. I've been racial profiled, right? I don't support it at all whatsoever. Now, if what I just heard is that ICE is a new system from Homeland Security, then as an organization, I do not support it. Because if we already have an organization such as Border Security, Border Patrol agents, why do we need this second agency, right? That's what I do not support, because again, I come from a region where immigration is at its peak. I come from an area where I've seen, people cross my windows. I've given these people, water. I'm not afraid to be empathetic toward these people at all. And what I see with ICE agents is that they're not empathetic, they're careless, and quite frankly, they're dangerous to everybody that they come across to or cross by. And I don't support that. It's actually more unlawful, in my opinion, to hurt somebody that was just an innocent bystander, and they're not being held to the laws that everybody else is being held to, right? If I were to, quote unquote, murder or unalive somebody with my pistol, where does that put me, right? So again, I think that they're being held to a standard that is.
No time. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, thank you for the effort. Your time. Let's go to Brenda up top. Thank you for telling me your name. I appreciate that. It makes it easier. What are your thoughts on ICE? Do you support or not? And what would you like to share with us?
I don't support them. I'm a little sick, so I apologize to anybody on this live. But I think this is a very important topic. As a woman that was raised by two immigrants that became citizens, one that was an asylum seeker, and one that came from the southern border at 18 years old with nothing on his back, and raised me, contributed to this economy, bought a house, was part of the team that in 1992 brought the network of computers to the New York Board of Education. This is what I will say. It's not any administration. It's not Biden. It's not Trump. It's not Obama. It's many administrations. Because why did they give $75 billion to ICE and only $2 billion of his wonderful bill to administration? That seems unbalanced. It comes with, as a person who, my first language was Spanish, and I was filling out those applications for both my parents. There are legal fees. There are so much financial strains on these undocumented families that just want a better life for their family or themselves. So why does it take so long? And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this. Why are there 11 billion backlog cases? It is the system and the due process by our Constitution that has never been fixed in 40 plus years. So I don't blame any administration. I blame all administrations for not stepping up. And when Biden had that law and I got took down, it specifically was targeted to help the judges and the administration systems. Why don't we look at that and discuss that instead of ICE agents? And honestly, as much as I don't support them, they're doing the job wrong. But why don't we focus on the due process that is everybody's right, processing all of these backlog cases? Maybe ICE could find the quote unquote criminals and not maybe allow I don't know, deport somebody that could benefit. My mom passed away from breast cancer 20 years ago.
No
Maybe
time,
somebody
fam.
could cure cancer. I'm sorry if I'm out of time. Thank
No,
you.
yeah, you're good. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective. I want to give you a little extra time to get your
And
point
respond a
in.
little bit to her. Can I come in and respond to what she was addressing?
Yeah, let me let Catalina. I think Catalina wants to come in first, but I'll work you back in, John.
Okay.
Well, I was actually going
Yeah.
to say if Nichelle wants to make a mod announcement or anything first, I can wait.
Yeah, we've got 580 people in here now. 2 more money guns to help Smitty reach his live goal. And if we could get the likes up, that would be greatly appreciated. I have been putting it in the chat. I do see a lot of friendlies or familiar people that we know in the guest request. Thank you guys so much for that. Thank you, Jessic, for that, and thank you guys for hitting the orange heart and supporting the host. If you just for a more
Well,
balanced
thank you
panel,
guys. Appreciate you.
if you're in the chat and you support ICE and haven't requested and would like to come up, please request. And if you are in the request and are waiting to come up and you support ICE, please let us know so that we can balance out the conversation. Really appreciate it. Thank you, chat. You guys are amazing. Y'all help the host meet.
Smitty's going to do the Macarena for you now. I'm just kidding.
Girl, he's still working on the Douglas. Let me shut up.
All right.
Okay, so let's keep the likes going up. I appreciate y'all in the chat. Y'all are amazing.
All right. I'm just wondering how many months I got to go with this Douglas joke still. It's going to be.
As long as I got to deal with the peacoat and everything else. So there's
Yup.
Mm.
Smitty, if you want, like, Sincere can go before me and we could just work our way back up the panel.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's
Let's
easier
do
for me
that.
to keep track of.
I was going to respond to her.
Do you have real quick, John? Do you have a disagreement with her, or is it just kind of like laying?
No, I just wanted to kind of help her just with a couple things I want to mention really quick. The reason for this, one of the reasons for this backlog is from two particular sources. One was that when Obama came in office, Mitch McConnell, who has been serving 9 or 10 consecutive terms, said that he would not pass anything that Obama wanted to pass. So that squashed a lot of what Obama wanted to do. And also, after 9/11, we had a situation where George W. Bush got up there and said that we need to tighten our belts. Basically, he took the appropriations process that gives money to each state where they're able to get money for their capital needs. He took that off the table and said, tighten your belts, and refused to allow that process to continue. Those two things disproportionately made it very difficult to do exactly what you're concerned about, which was to keep up with that backlog of people trying to seek asylum in the United States.
All right, thank you, John. Go ahead, Sincere. Drop some peacoats in the chat. Drop some coats in the chat for Nichelle for being an incredible mom, by the way. Drop some coats in the chat. Go ahead, Sincere.
I'm crying. No, I was actually going to mention that too as well, what Mr. John had said, but also too as well, just and like I said, I think that's one of the things I disagreed, especially with the Obama administration, especially when it came to just in general, just with the whole ICE thing, but also too as well, I just want us to remember too as well, when he did come into office, and for the remaining of our history, I hate to honestly say this, but for some odd reason, it's been like a trend within the political realm, if we're talking about economics and like how the country does, where we have like Democrat come in and make all these progressive policies and do all these good things. But then it's some odd reason, once we get a Republican in, they just so happen just to crash and all burn it to the ground. I've never understood that, even with Reaganomics, how that impacted our economy. even with Trump in his first term, what he did, even with Venezuela, like a lot of people are complaining about the immigrants and stuff. Like, did y'all not know he put sanctions on this country, and that this new thing that he's doing in his current administration with now taking their president? Now, granted, I'm not a fan of their president either, but one thing I'm not a fan of is imperialism. I'm not a fan of going into a sovereign country and taking their leader and then having somebody else come into power and make it even worse for these countries when they try to rebound and get back together. This is a lot of the things that people don't understand. When you
Thank you,
destabilize
Rosie.
when you destabilize a sovereign country, at the end of the day, you're causing them even more havoc than it already is. We've seen it with Cuba. We've seen it with many other different countries that we have involved and stuck our nose in their business. Like, again, it's one thing to help these countries. It's another thing to make it even worse than it already is. And that's just my major thing about it. Is like, if you follow it, and it's like it's like everybody has said, you have to follow everything chronologically in order. And you guys seen it. I brought up Title 42 and literally Remain in Mexico. Neither Jared nor Teddy, that was just up here not too long ago, can literally tell us what those are. Like, how are you going to have a political discord with us and have these conversations if you don't even know what these policies are?
All right, thank you, Sincere. Real quick, just a point of appreciation for the chat and all of the dang picos y'all just dropped. I love you guys. Listen, you guys are incredible.
Pickles and
Thank y'all for being
bathtub.
here. What's that,
Put some
Carolina?
bicycles and bathtubs too. Anyway.
I saw that. I'm trying to ignore it. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, chat. Thank y'all for hitting the live goal. Please show some love to the panelists. Make sure you're following the panelists that you agree with.
Can I give a brief
Um,
response here?
Yeah, let me just work up the panel real quick, John. I want to get to Aaron and back to Ephra, and we'll get to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
next.
appreciate you.
You want to give me a timer?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I'm really glad that Sincere brought that up, because this is my biggest issue with people not understanding immigration. And I don't need a response to this. You can drop it in the chat. If you are sick with a potentially fatal disease, would you care more about them treating the symptoms or getting at the root cause to cure the disease? And that's where I find a lot of these conversations disingenuous, is because y'all don't really care about how we got here. And so we can sit here and say that it is a problem how many people don't have documentation who immigrate to this country, right? We can talk about that. But we have to talk about what the United States is doing to destabilize those countries, which is why I'm glad Sincere brought that up. We need to address U.S. imperialism. Sorry, I have the grandbaby today, so she's like over here. But anyway, we have to address U.S. imperialism. If the United States would not be destabilizing these countries the way that they are, we would not have an influx of people coming here. If we didn't have the United States creating and funding G-Side in these countries, we would not have them coming here. If we didn't have the United States extracting their resources and exploiting the people there, we would not have this. Again, this is not happening to European nations. It's happening to the global South, primarily people who are indigenous to this continent. So it's wild to me that y'all think that white people, who are the original invaders and immigrants and anchor babies, have a right to tell indigenous people from this continent that they shouldn't be able to migrate here. And then additionally, the other demographic that is the largest affected by this are black people. So indigenous and black people are coming here to try to survive due to what the United States is doing in their nations. And y'all are sitting here worrying about the dumbest things instead of talking about the system. That's why I'm glad Nichelle keeps bringing it back to that too. It is the system that is causing us to have the issues that we have. Undocumented immigrants are not affecting the economy in a negative way, y'all. They contribute billions of dollars in taxes and have contributed to the GDP greatly. It is the white people, primarily conservatives in office, who are making your life unaffordable right now. So please start addressing the root cause of the issue and stop worrying about the person next to you who doesn't have the ability to oppress you.
All right, thank you, Catalina. Aaron, go ahead, 2 minutes. And again, we are looking for one person who does support ICE. If you want the last spot, just put a 1 in if you're in the request. Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
These three kind of stole my thunder just a little bit. They know I don't like when y'all. No, I'm kidding. At the end of the day, I agree with Catalina. Catalina, no, that's exactly where I was going to go. This country destabilizes countries on a regular basis. We're doing it right now. Does anybody know what's happening in Cuba right now? Yeah, look it up. Okay? Look it up. All right? And that's America doing that. Does anybody know where the $50 million it went to that Trump put offshore that only he controls? So actually, while we're up here with different conversations, we need to be actually talking about more destabilization right now. And then what's happening again is going to be a situation where they're going to say, oh God, where are all these people coming from? Because literally of what's going on in Cuba right now, Venezuela, what they did to Haiti on Christmas Day. Christmas Day, the looks on their faces still haunt me. When I saw that video, I was crying my eyes out. Okay? So at the end of the day, we're still trying to steal resources. Still. And let me take we out the equation, because I'm not doing none of this. I don't speak French. Ain't no we. It's this administration right now who is trying to operate like the mafiosa. Okay? He's trying to run up in Greenland. He has destabilized Venezuela. He's messing with Cuba, trying to destabilize them. So at the end of the day, at the bottom of all these problems is America all day. If we continue to do this on a regular basis, that is what's going to continue to happen. America all day.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. I did bring up Brian. I saw you put a one in the request. Brian, I feel like you are moderating your stance though. But let me hear what you got today. But I feel like overall you've kind of moderated a little bit. But let me hear, what do you think about ICE today? How you feel?
Oh no, Smitty, I just like the gaslight. You know, that's my style. But let me just say this: how I feel about ICE. I do believe in strong borders for all countries. I think all countries should have borders. If not, then I can just move my family onto Native American lands now and say, oh yeah, guess what? I'm here, because there's no such thing as a border. Nope, need to have borders. Need to
You're
protect
on
the
Native
borders.
American land.
Yes, I am. And guess what? I got my feet up on my couch and I'm enjoying myself. So with regards to ICE kind of running wild through the streets and stuff like that, I got a problem with it. If there's someone who comes here who wants to come to this country and better their life and better their family, I'm all for that. But if someone comes here and then starts committing crimes and stuff, yeah, you got to go. And Smitty, that's my stance on that. I'll land my plane.
Okay. Let me go to Catalina. Go ahead, Catalina. I know you want to address what he just said, so let me.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Colonizers gonna colonize. Like, they don't even hide it anymore. I don't know why we entertain this. But, the funny thing is, he was saying a whole lot of things in the chat about Venezuela. And, but then he doesn't have that energy when he gets up here, because he knows I'm gonna roast him on it, because he tried to say in the chat that Venezuelans supported what Trump did. No, white elite, excuse me, I'm so sorry. White elite Venezuelans who fled Venezuela because they, are elite and didn't want to share their resources with poor people, just like the white elite Cubans did. They were the ones celebrating what Trump did, because they are also neo-colonial imperialists. The people in Venezuela, primarily indigenous and black, were not celebrating this. So continuing to spread misinformation is just kind of crazy. But you are on Native American land, bro. And the fact that you can sit there and say, oh, I got my feet propped up, like, you are the exact epitome of what we are talking about colonizers and imperialists. You don't care. You don't care that you benefit from white supremacy. You don't care that you benefit from white privilege. So, like, honestly, like, it's just a waste of breath on him. He's proud to be a white supremacist.
Go ahead, Brian. Your response to that. I mean, you can't be surprised, right, Brian, that she responded that way? You can't be surprised. Go ahead, Brian. You should be able to unmute.
I would like to know how many Venezuelans she knows that are native to Venezuela that are still in Venezuela, because I know plenty through family connections. So I don't know what you're talking about.
And so, are you saying real quick? Let me jump. Are you saying, Brian, the people that you've talked to in your family, they mostly supported Maduro being deposed? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's correct. They were anti-communist and were against the government seizure of their lands and property, which actually happened under the previous administration.
Except that's not what happened, and I'm sure they were anti-communist because they are white supremacist imperialists. So I'm glad that we're on the same
Some of them
accord.
are
I just think
black,
you
so
don't
you'd be
understand what
surprised.
communism means. You will never understand what communism means because you listen to talking points as opposed to actually reading. So like, yeah, I believe him, except it's not his family. It's the in-laws of the woman that he bamboozled into marrying him because he's a passport bro. That's what he's talking about. So no, I actually work with groups globally, including indigenous groups in Venezuela. And no, they do not support this. It wasn't until Chavez took place that they were actually even given representation to be able to vote and have a say in what happens in their lands, which the people that quote unquote fled communism, yeah, they were opposed to it. So I agree with you on that.
I would just have to say, Catalina, of all of your support for communism and socialism, what motivates humankind is incentives. And until socialism and communism produces incentives, which are native to not native, that's the wrong word, they're natural to human.
Endemic.
I just don't buy it, and I'll never buy it.
Well, I'll just
But
land
I
here
do
so
have a
that we.
question, though. I do have a question, though. For
Okay.
you. I always show respect for you, but it always in your response, you kind of do the broad brushstroke, and there's like a lot of anger there, and I was like, wow, this person is angry.
Oh no, I couldn't imagine why I'm angry with imperialism on my land in my hemisphere. It baffles me. But I'll just land here so that other people can get in the conversation. No, when you talk about incentives, that is what's natural to your demographic. As an indigenous woman, that is not what is natural to us. We practiced socialism prior to the white people ever colonizing it from us because
But
we
it didn't
believe that
work.
we believe that the benefit of the community takes precedence over the benefit of the individual. Marx and all of those thinkers of Europe are on record admitting that they stole those concepts from indigenous people, indigenous Americans, as well as indigenous Africans. So no, what is natural to you and your demographic, which is predicated on greed and subjugation of others, is not what's natural to those of us who have had to bear that burden for hundreds of years since the dawn of colonialism. I'll land.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you,
I
Carolina.
want to add. Can I add something in there?
Go
with
ahead.
regard
Go
to
ahead.
industry?
1 minute. Go ahead. Yeah, 1 minute. Go ahead, John.
Look, if you were look as people precise like this individual who was not popular in his own country, and that's the reason why he had to leave. Just like Maria Muchada, she was not in popularity in Venezuela, and furthermore, Hugo Chavez was the one that actually was trying to bring the people together and serve the well. He was the one that owned the company Citco, which provided fuel for the 7-Eleven gas stations and gave New Yorkers cheap fuel oil to keep them warm in the winter when everything else was too expensive. And then United States put sanctions on Venezuela, effectively destroying their economy so that people had to leave to find a better life.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Let me, Brenda, anything else you want to say? I know you're sick, so I don't want to keep you up here too long. Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Let me, Brenda, anything else you want to say? I know you're sick, so I don't want to keep you up here too long. But anything else you want to say?
No, I'm okay. I just want to say, this is my first live ever.
What?
Ever.
You chose my
so-
live out of all of the lives on TikTok?
Because you have a topic that is very important to me. And
That's awesome.
thank you to all the panelists and anybody, Carolina or Aaron or Nish or Smitty. If you have any books, as my profile says, I love romance books, but any books on these topics to the point of, I agree with Carolina, what she said earlier and what everybody's been discussing. The U.S. has, I'm 100% a Salvadorian. My parents were 100% Salvadorian. And to the story I said earlier, my father could not get a career with an engineering degree. And that's why he left his family. He's 1 out of 11, his family. And this was in the 70s. And things are still occurring today because the United States gets involved in countries they shouldn't be getting involved in. Right? I think they should fix the problems that they've started themselves. They've created all this, and it's sad to say that so many years later, they worry more about capitalistic profits than human beings.
Mm,
And when, as a country, are we going to go back to worrying about humanity, whether, you've due process, not having due process? What we've seen in Minnesota is, let's go back to empathy and leading with empathy.
mm,
But it's sad to say, I don't think as a capitalistic society, they care more about profits than humanity.
mm. All right, Brenda, I think you're going to be very popular. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. Muchísimas gracias por elegirme en vivo, my live. Appreciate you, fam. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much for coming up. All right. Who's next? Let's go to Ephra. Ephra, go ahead. Anything you want to touch on?
Actually, so I wanted to touch base on what's happening in Venezuela. So to my understanding, and this is just from direct communication with my previous boss, who was a white Venezuelan from Venezuela, and his wife was also from Venezuela. His whole family was from Venezuela. We were talking about Maduro, and I would try to, avoid political conversations at work. Not something that I'm okay with, but he was actually quite happy that Maduro was being questioned and being, questioned by the Trump administration and Trump specifically. And I remember asking him why, and he would say because Maduro had lied his way and forfeited, or not forfeited, but lied his way through the votes. So he pretty much stated that he was president when he in fact was not. And he was hiding these votes from people, and he pretty much made it seem that he was the sole winner of the popularity vote, and he was not. So there was this huge conversation about how Maduro was even using his own government to detain people. Was not. So there was this huge conversation about how Maduro was even using his own government to detain people and question people and even remove people from office who went against his principles because they knew that he pretty much was not the voted president, right? So I never asked my boss why he moved to the United States. I know he was a professor at UT for architecture, but that I know to be true, that he was not a fan of Maduro, and that he pretty much immigrated to the United States for a better life. And he's white. He has Argentinian ancestry. So culturally, from what I have understood from every Venezuelan that I have met, they all have moved from Venezuela because of the economy and the way that things are over there. Now, it just depends on who you ask, right? Because I've met undocumented immigrants, and I've met immigrants that are documented, and they all have a different opinion. I just wanted to say that, but I do agree with a lot with what Carolina did say, that the United States does exploit other countries, because we have no business in Venezuela right now, to be very frank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just say that you mentioned that he's white. That's why. White elite Venezuelans do not represent Black and indigenous Venezuelans, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Let me go. Hold on for 1 second. I think Noah wanted to come up and correct something that you said, Ephra. Want to give Noah an opportunity. Go ahead, brother. Good to have you.
You able to hear me?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. So you can look up the National Lawyers Guild. The election of Maduro was one of the most observed and credible elections at the time, right? And so I really want people to stop doing this misinformation of he was not legitimately elected, because he absolutely was. This is what the United States does to manufacture consent for imperialism in these places, right? The United States makes up shit about these people being dictators, about these people, doing fake elections, when all the problems, you've probably heard this phrase, every accusation is a confession. All these things that the United States blames, the global South for, is things that the United States is actually guilty of, right? The United States terrorizes the rest of the world and somehow thinks that they have some moral authority to dictate, whether a country is doing its people good or not. It's really, really weird to me. But this is also why I was talking to Nichelle about this a long time ago. There's this thing called standpoint epistemology, which, I don't think it's totally illegitimate. I think it's good to consult people who have lived experience, but we also got to recognize that lived experience produces different analyses, right? we could all be black and we could all have different politics that come out of that experience. You feel me? And so I don't think consulting people strictly on the basis of like identity or experience is something that we should be doing and trying to like ascertain knowledge about these things. But that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you for coming up, man.
What? Noah, are we going to be friends today? Can we be friends?
I might use a slur. I might use a slur. I might use the L word, Michelle. I might use the L word.
That's fair.
I'm gonna
No,
get
that's
some
fair.
folks
Listen,
mad.
let's clear this up right now. Let's clear this up. Okay. Listen, I can stand to be, you know what I'm saying, corrected, but I just want to know, are we going to be friends today? You ain't got to be a slur.
We can be friends today. I won't use the L word.
Okay, and I won't use the Y word. Okay, I promise. I'll be good.
I don't even know what y'all talking about.
Brian trying to talk to me, but like Catalina said, he's a passport bro. So we gotta filter everything that he says through the lens of he is the imperialist, right? In his romantic relationships, he is imperializing. So
No, can I ask you a question? So he's right. We have talked about this. So, and I do try, at least for me, when we come up and we talk about stats and facts and things like that. Sometimes for me, getting to the root of a person's ideology, right, comes from lived experience. And even if I don't agree with the end result of that lived experience, like we see that a lot with Daniel, you know, it's his personal interactions that have led him to come to a particular conclusion. Were you saying that well, I guess you were saying it's not, how am I going to say this? It's not good to necessarily rely always on lived experience. Is that what you were saying, Noah?
yeah, like I think just in the way that like one could do the reading and also come to like shoddy analysis, I think lived experience is also as, you know, potentially unreliable as other forms of like knowledge making and ascertainment, if that makes sense, right? Like you could be super well read. I went to a school with people who like are ostensibly well read and I didn't think they were smart, right? And similarly, you could have all these experiences, you could experience oppression and you can come to like various different ideologies based out of that, right? It does not mean that you have an analysis of what you experienced.
Because I think that's a really good point. As we continue to have these political conversations, and Smitty, I just saw an article about this, and actually, she's a correspondent for the White House, young lady, the journalist was pushing back on her and asking, why don't facts matter? And there's this narrative, right, on the right, on many people on the right, I won't say all, but many people on the right, that fact checking is woke. And it really, really took me back. And as we continue to have these conversations with just different people who come up here, and when you push back on them, you know, where did you get that from? They kind of get offended when you ask for a source, which is why I'm always curious about a person's lived experience. How did you come up with this? How is it that in this day and age, you know, you still support ICE? Or the article that I mentioned at the beginning of this about Sean Duffy now requiring truckers to pass English exams and literally, as we speak, pulling licenses from truckers who don't have a proficiency in English, right? How is it that people come to these ideologies, kind of like what Noah was saying, and it oftentimes it boils down to it's not rooted in anything substantial, at least what we would deem substantial. So I just think that's interesting because as we continue to have these conversations, that's what it's boiling down to: a person's lived experience or a negative experience or what they perceive to be a negative experience with a member of the immigrant community. And most of the time, Smitty, when people come up, what's the first thing they say? Oh, in my town or in my city, you know, in my apartment complex, or they took this or the, and it's a broad, sweeping brush. And then we're off to the races. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, Michelle, I think a word I used when I had this conversation with you a while back was like this politics of deference. It's this idea that these people, because of certain identities or lived experiences, become like an epistemological authority. And that's what I have beef with. Especially because when we do this like deference to people based on possessing a certain type of like identity or whatever, the question that's not asked is how is that person who has that identity in the space to begin with, right? Because oftentimes we're talking about like oppressed people. And I think oftentimes like the most oppressed don't have a voice to share or to represent their own people, right? So we do the deference, but we don't question why they're in the room to begin with, right? And what makes them qualified to like speak on people of that identity. Like, do they represent the masses if they're in a space where they're able to even have these conversations?
I think what happens is those people with those lived experience speak with such authority, right? That's how we kind of got here. I mean, look at the craziness that comes out of RFK, and what he's doing in the health space for Americans. Those differences end up coming with people who speak with such authority that a lot of other people just kind of say, yeah, sure, whatever they say. So many people in that article, Smitty, that I was referring to, they interviewed Trump supporters. It was about whether or not they still support him. Almost 2 years, whatever, into his presidency, and somehow, some way, they're still saying, yeah, I know my pocketbook is literally. One lady said, well, I know my groceries are still high. I know my gas prices are still high. Maybe for me, if she was mentioning that the past Valentine's Day weekend was the worst. She owns a small floral shop, and she was saying it was the worst ever in the 40 years that she had her business open, but somehow still said that she supported Trump, and maybe other people were doing well. I don't know if she's talking about the billionaires, but it's just crazy to me how that lived experience somehow turns into, and voting practices and other things, and here we are. I'm always curious as to why, when you host these lives, Smitty, why people are rooted in why they believe in the horrible treatment of the immigrant population. And again, we've said it multiple times when we try to talk about policy or the system, they never want to kind of delve down that. It's always punching down on the immigrant community. And oftentimes, most times, it's because of personal lived experiences.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me go real quick, y'all.
Final thing, and then I'll drop down.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Go ahead. And then we've got about 15 minutes left. Let's finish strong. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Okay, going back to let me see. The Patriot Homeland Security would not exist were it not for the Patriot Act. We know this. Okay, and so if we go full stop forward to just before Donald Trump entered office on his first term, he did turn down a currency reset, a letter that was put on his desk by the ministers of finance representing the developed banks or the developed countries, asking that to happen. He ignored it. He sat on that, and now look where our dollar value is at 3% of its original value. And then we come forward to this, and I want to give a kind of a warning here of what's going on. Look, these detention camps that they want to open, 16 in all so far, they're not for putting people out of the country. Look, Auschwitz didn't start out. It started out as a detention center, just like the ones that they plan to open. There's something more sinister going on here. And then I want to also add that this California company, Oracle, played a significant role in the unaliving of people over in Palestine, and then now they're on this site, or they're playing with this company, and also the fact that they just got handed cloud control. Just scary stuff that's going on. And I'm 67 years old. I've seen this stuff developing. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say before I jump out of here.
Yeah, appreciate you, John. Thank you for coming up. All right, we're going to go to final comments, and we will start with actually, let's go to DeMarcus. DeMarcus, go ahead, bro. I want to get you up here before I left. You got 2 minutes. Feel free, friend.
How's it going? So, what I'm really not understanding is, as someone else pointed out, like this whole, at first, black people are not a monolith, or people in general are not a monolith yet. If we have an example of a few immigrants doing something here or a few immigrants doing something there, that represents the entirety of their demographic. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that, like, from the blacker perspective, that you have the right to be an individual. You don't represent the black ideology or the BLM ideology or the woke ideology. Yet, if you have a bad experience with the immigrant, then that represents every single person in that group. Y'all just want to be bigots. Y'all just want to have that white supremacist power of denoting and saying what somebody's worth is based off of how they look, how they speak, how they worship, how they dress, how they talk, who they love. This is literally the only social currency that they have. They're not getting anything from this administration. They're not actually even getting the promises of 20 million immigrants being deported. They're not getting anything that they actually voted for, yet they're gaslighting us to believe this is what they voted for. This is all about hatred and bigotry and hurting people because you're not willing to do the work to actually fix the system and hold the right people accountable, which again is our government. So that's my whole entire issue with the entire immigration thing. We know it's not about immigrants. It's about harm.
Damn. All right. Let me go to Brian. Brian, anything else you want to say? 2 minutes.
Hi there. Yeah, so I do have a question for Noah. I really enjoyed what he had to say. But Noah, if you're in charge, what do you do? Like someone like myself who has a point of view that's different than yours, do you send me to an education camp? Do you take me out to the field and that's my last day? What is your policy?
Deportation, the field, the wall, all of it sounds good to me. Wherever you want to go. The gulag, we could take you to the guillotine. There's a lot of places. The first though, First, I'm saving all the women that you imperialize in your passport bro sex tourism career. That's what I'm doing first. So I'm actually going to need you alive for that to help me locate all of them. And then you get the wall, then the re-education camp, and then the wall again.
And that's why your political party will never succeed.
Nigga, what political party?
Mr.
Do you think I'm a Democrat?
Yeah, like he's.
Yeah, you don't know
What are
Noah.
you talking about, Brian?
You don't know Noah.
He's a Marxist communist.
No, see, but that's what I'm saying, Brian. You're saying all this, but what is so wrong about somebody wanting to have everything equal for everybody, making sure people don't go hungry at night, making sure kids don't have to grow up like that? Like y'all like to throw that in, and again, it's not even the full term that what you're saying. Literally, we have sprinkles and aspects of socialism and communism within our government. And it seems to honestly work in our favor when we talk about the masses actually seeing some type of resolution. The crazy part about it is you guys want us to be cool with y'all, but you're the equivalent to the snitch in the hood. Why would I want to be cool with you, bro? That's what you don't understand. You're a snitch. You are literally a liability for anybody in the hood that knows what the setting I'm talking about with the corner boys, that nobody wants to be around you. That's what you don't understand. You don't understand that. You're untrustworthy. Like, even if we were to have a genuine conversation and really break some barriers, I still have to look at you double time.
So with regards to people who are here in this country who need social benefits, who need that extra hand, I don't recall ever saying that should not happen. There is a healthy balance that needs to be reached.
Sir, there's a healthy balance that needs to be reached, but the problem is the minimum wage sucks. And then on top of that, we have individuals and people that don't have access to those certain resources. Again, this is what I'm saying. You guys will not listen to what we're saying. Poverty has a direct connection, and one of them is lack of opportunities. lack of healthcare, lack of education. We see less kids going to secondary education, whether it be trade school or whether it be to a 4-year university or college.
So I agree with that, but I think the mechanism on how to get there, I think that's where you and I differ.
Because you want to hurt people. You want to be a ladder puller and hurt people in the process, sir. I wasn't raised like that, and I'm Black. I wasn't raised like that. My grandparents went through this black codes and stuff. They went through all this shit. So please do not tell me that I don't know from the research and the personal experience. My grandfather, I can show you pictures. My mom's father that raised me was the only engineer in half of his company pictures, sir. The only minority was a woman of Chinese descent. It's all white men. Don't tell me about what I don't know. Your mechanism has it where people go hungry, where kids go hungry. I don't want that to happen to nobody's child. I don't want another Liam Ramos, and he's not even my color, and I can still have empathy for him because he's a kid. I know what it is to be his age. What is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? No, be quiet. What is wrong with y'all? This is inhumane. I don't want nobody to be hurt off of this. I don't want that to happen to nobody because it can happen to me. It can happen to my family. That's what y'all don't get. I can't trust you with your vote because you already voted against me and you don't even subconsciously know it. Consciously, you don't even know what you just did, bro.
Let me let him come in. Go ahead, Brian. Your response is sincere. I mean, and probably 90% of the people that's here align with that thought. What do you think, Brian? What would you say to those folks?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 99.9%. But
Definitely
I
me.
do. I enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy listening to what other people have to say because that's how you learn. But also, what Noah was saying about shared cultural experience. That's I just think capitalism is the way to go about it. I don't.
We're still
hold on, real quick. But again, to the Liam Ramos story, which was just horrific, right? And there's so many. These are all the ones that we know that we've heard about, right? And this is what I don't understand from people that support ICE. How you can continue your support. I mean, there's many different things I could say, but when you see all of these incidences that happen, like there was just a report that came out. What was it, yesterday? That ICE unalived somebody a year ago and swept it under the rug. Like, at what point? What is it going to take for you to pull your support? I guess is my question. What is it going to take?
So, for example, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are going to be in any institution, there's going to be horrible things happening and horrible people doing those things, and they have to be dealt with. But I don't think it's a broad brushstroke that says, "Oh, we just eliminated all of this." So I agree with you, Smitty. I have no problem with what you're saying there, but I would not say, okay, well, now we're just going to dismantle it because we do need to have borders and custom. But I have empathy for what that other speaker was saying. Her pain that you hear in her voice, that is sad. But how do we go about the change?
But Brian, here's the thing. I hear you. Here's the thing. Now I want to let somebody else come in. Why is it that the folks that want to dismantle ICE completely, they're seen as radicals? However, you have the people that started America that are completely seen as like these heroic figures who, they basically dismantled the British Empire and stuff like that. Why is it different? Why are we crazy and why are those folks are radical and why are those folks revered? What do you think? What's the difference?
So I'm trying to also understand your point. If Smithy, if what you're saying is, hey, there needs to be a revolution because we feel that our ideas are going to work better than the current system, I think, and this is my uneducated response to you, Smitty, is that you would need to then take a look at, okay, here's what I want to do, here's my plan, but has my plan been tried before in human history? And have we learned from it? And where I come back to the anti-Marxism approach is that I don't see it working. You see at the end chapters of these countries around the world that have tried this. Hey, let's all get along and it's everyone's equal. It's ended horribly. So what's the answer where it doesn't end horribly? I don't know. I don't know.
So I'm not even getting into political systems, but what I'm talking about, Brian, I feel like you're speaking from a level of patience that a lot of us folks don't have, right? You're getting into like, well, what about this new thing that you want to try? And like, people are getting unalived, man. People are getting their homes taken away. People are getting racially profiled. Like, there's a level of patience that you're speaking about this that a lot of folks just don't have to think about, well, like, what if it's going to work? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like being in a house in a fire. You ain't got time to think about, when I jump, am I going to be okay? You're just going to jump. And you see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And Smitty, when you have the boot on your neck, okay, and you're desperate to breathe, I get that. But I don't see how that's happening as a blanket across all the systems, because if not, you wouldn't have so many people of color who vote Republican. And I understand it's easy to dismiss them. Oh, they're just, Uncle Toms.
I'm coming to you, Carolina. I'm gonna come to you.
But Smitty, you know what? Yes, I enjoy this platform. I enjoy listening. It's educational and stuff like that. I find Catalina and her responses a little angry, and I think that's very interesting. Kind of enjoy that.
Brian, if I may.
But hold on a second. Let me just finish.
Please. Okay, I won't interrupt you.
Finish. One of the things I just want to say is that we have to find some common ground, and I think that a lot of people don't have the common ground. They don't have the time when there's name calling. They don't step back and take a look at things and say, "Hey, what can we do differently?"
So what you just mentioned.
So real quick, Efra, let me let you. I got you next. Let me let Catalina come in, and Efra, I'm coming to you next. Okay, I got you. Go ahead, Catalina.
Well, color me shocked. A white man calling a woman of color aggressive and angry. Oh my God, no. Anyway, so real quick, number one, the reason why those countries are not succeeding is for one reason only, and it's U.S. intervention. I don't know why we are pretending like that doesn't happen. Anytime that a country in the global South attempts to be successful with leftist agendas and policies, the United States goes in and undermines them. Excuse the noise in the background. My grandbaby's playing. They go in and undermine them, create sanctions and embargoes, and send in CIA operatives and all the alphabet gang. So I don't know why we're acting like that doesn't happen. Additionally, the reason why you see people of color voting Republican is Stockholm syndrome. It's Stockholm syndrome. The only reason we have bootlickers in our communities, absolutely, but there's a reason why these demographics don't on large vote for the Republican Party. Don't get me started on the skewed polling data. And this is not to glorify the Democratic Party by any means, right? But there's a reason for that. And what happens is, if you can, this was a strategy during the mid 20th century. And they said, if you can convince the poorest white man that his problem is the black or brown person as opposed to the rich white man picking his pockets, then you're going to be successful. They have now taken that strategy and flipped it onto people of color. So if you can convince black people that black immigrants and brown people are their problem, if you can convince brown people that black people are guilty of the stereotypes that white supremacy perpetuates, then you are going to see people voting against their own best interests. It is a strategy that is tried and true and has worked for neoliberal imperialists for hundreds of years at this point. So that is why you see that. It is not indicative of them changing course. This is due to colonization. People lose their sense of self, they lose their sense of identity, and they lose their sense of community. That is why.
Let me let Efra come in. Yeah, real quick, Brian, let me let Efra come in. Efra, go ahead, 2 minutes.
Can I go out to Efra, please?
I was going to say to Brian, to respond to Brian, is first and foremost, when you speak on someone's passion and you speak on someone's form of speaking, sometimes it comes from an experience and it comes from their valid point of view because they have experienced that. One thing that I have learned from psychology itself is that you can come to me with a problem. I'm not going to invalidate your experience because you went through it, right? So when we speak about people's experiences with the racism, colorism, so on and so forth, you can find a middle ground. Absolutely, as a white man, you can find a middle ground, but you have to be able to listen and understand their point of view. You can't just come in here and say, and within this space, I'm assuming that 99.9% of the people agree with you, because to be very frank with you, what proximity do you have to immigration, and how often does immigration affect you on your daily basis, right? If you ask me, you and I are the same skin tone, right? But I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino, and my grandparents, worked in the country as Mexican immigrants in the fields. So for me, my experience is gonna be a little different than yours, and my proximity to immigration is a lot different. So if I speak with the tonality of concern, of anger, and you tell me I'm a bad hombre or something along those lines, you're gonna understand there's gonna be an uproar of how can I say it, responses to what you just said, right? So my advice to you, not that you need to take it or not, I'm not here to tell you what to do or what to learn, is just always try to walk kindly and understand that people's experiences are very much valid. And I think Sincere was talking, her experience is pretty much valid, and I do not appreciate the way you went about it, personally myself.
So if I may respond to that,
Go ahead.
one of the things that is important, especially in psychology, you just hit upon it, to validate how someone feels. The woman who was speaking passionately, I validate that. I have no idea what that existence is like. But also, you yourself are making a generalization. You do not know me. You're assuming that just because I have a certain point of view, I must come from a box. You do not know who my wife is. People assume, oh, he's a passport bro. You have no idea. You never asked. And that's why I don't disparage people who are on this panel. I don't engage in direct attacks upon them because I don't know their experiences. I listen, I learn, and figure out, okay, where do we agree? And, and also keep it entertaining.
So for me, this is not entertainment.
So real quick, y'all.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
For me, it's not entertainment because I identify with the immigrant community. Often, again, I've been told myself, watch out for ICE agents. I worked in the construction industry. I was born in Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is though, and again, a close to proximity. You asked a question earlier. You said, how can we fix the system? Well, you start by asking questions, start to understand what is really the root of it all, right? I think it was Carolina or the wonderful lady at the very bottom. I can't read her name, but the N. She mentioned that if someone gets sick, do you want to look at the symptoms or correct the actual disease or try to fix the disease? What she's referring to, if I'm not mistaken, she could correct me if I'm wrong. The disease itself is a system and how it's broken because it works for people that, quite frankly, are above everybody else in terms of economic status, right? In terms of skin of color and gender. And when I speak on this, I've had conversations from all over, and I understand that sometimes we as men have a hard time relating to women. Why? Because we are not in that position. But our best thing to do is always listen and try to comprehend and try to find a middle ground. And the whole premise of this conversation is not to say you're wrong and I'm right. It's to find some sort of how can I say it, malfunction in the system and fix what that is. And nowadays, with everything that's happening with immigration and ICE, you cannot tell me you don't feel some sort of disgust whenever you see a little boy of 5 years old being detained.
Real quick.
That's disgusting, right? So we have to find out how can we repair these laws because they are broken and they don't work in anybody in just in everybody's favor.
You're on time, brother. Yeah, you're on time. Real quick, let me get Noah in. Let me get Noah, DeMarcus, Gene, and then Sincere probably get the final. But I want to.
I'm sorry to keep you overtime. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Go ahead, Noah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had two thoughts, and I'm gonna drop down after this. But Brian had said this, and I know a lot of people share this sentiment. And my question is when it comes to ICE, and if they were to be immediately dismantled or whatever, what exactly would change? Because I really do feel like they're an entirely superfluous entity. That the only thing they do is accost people, subject people to conditions of precarity, right? like I don't see them doing anything necessary, and I haven't seen an argument as to like what necessary work do they actually do and what the consequences of them no longer being here would be. Nobody has ever, presented an argument for that. The other thing is, when people start talking about Marxism and communism, I really think folks need to bring back like pop quizzes. Because Brian, do you know what dialectical and historical materialism are?
Give me a moment. I'll go in front of my computer.
No, I'm not doing this. So you don't know what Marxism is. Like folks don't know the fucking basics, the most rudimentary shit when it comes to these things that they talk about, and yet they feel like they can express an opinion on it. Like we really need to bring back shame. No, I'm not doing this. If you just look this up, this is why lived experience is not a tenable source of knowledge, right? When it pertains to, you're literally referring to a writer, and you think you don't have to read that writer to understand what their philosophical worldview is? Like, these are the people we're dealing with. I don't know, the anti-intellectual crisis, the literacy crisis, like, this is like a perfect demonstration of everything that's going on. And it's like, it's crazy to engage with people like this. But I'm going to drop down. Thank you.
All right, fam.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, always, bro. All right.
I would always just say that sometimes it's better to put the book down and go out there and live an experience. I think Mark Twain said, hey, don't let your studies get in the way of your education.
All right, let me go to DeMarcus, and then we'll go to Sincere.
So this whole thing about respecting borders is always funny coming from white men, because again, this entire country is based off of not respecting borders and just unaliving people until you get your way. I mean, we can go down the list of how many times. I mean, obviously the original Western expansion, even coming to this country in the first place, all of the banana wars, the Cold War, Guatemala, Iran, Vietnam. I mean, the list literally goes on and on. So this idea that people coming here because our laws say they can is not respecting our borders is just disingenuous and pretty much bigoted and racist and xenophobic. Number one. Number two, please don't speak on the black vote. You have no space to speak on the state of black people or the black vote anywhere, especially when Republicans have done their darndest to make sure that our votes do not count. I mean, you could look at a state like Louisiana, where 60% of the vote went to Donald Trump and 60% of their population are white people. So again, when you even have a place that's so, red and so Southern and so Confederate and so American, that even the black people there that even wanted to vote for Donald Trump, it wouldn't matter if they voted for him or not. The board was already set. So again, you can't speak on why we treat people who voted for Donald Trump that happen to be black or indigenous or a part of our communities as traitors, because they are. Because not only did they vote against their best interests, they voted against our best interests, but then they say that they are not a monolith and we need to vote with them, meaning that we should be their monolith, not the majority of black people that are saying that this is not for us. And you cannot put the non-voters in your bucket, just like we cannot put the non-voters in our bucket. But what I can say, they didn't vote for Donald Trump. It's a start.
Smitty, may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see your name. I don't get the full name there. Question for you. Do you think countries, how many, 197, how many there are, should have borders?
Yes. And I think that people should respect those borders by our Constitution, not make up laws and make up their interpretation of the Constitution to keep people from our borders, especially when this country started with white men not respecting borders in the first place.
Yes, and I would agree. White men came in here. They had better firepower and more numbers, and they won. And it's like any other country in the world. So
that's what we should do to you? Should we do that to you?
I'm gonna lose my shit on him.
Well,
I just want to know, can we do that to you and it be justified?
I'll give you, you know what? I'm not going to even go ahead and go there. So
right. Because you know that if that happened to you, you would have a problem with it. Exactly.
So what it comes down to is you look at step back, okay? Not making this about you personally, but if you step back and you look at world history, people have crapped and shitted on each other without talking and having a dialogue, okay? And
So
hey,
again, we should be able to do it to you and you not complain about it, because again, you're just saying might is right.
no,
So if might is
so
right, then all we have to do is just let white tea people unalive themselves like they've been doing, and then just take the spots. Because again,
so
you said that might is right.
so let me. I never use those terms, but let me put it this way: if people wish to step up, okay, they will be dealt with. They have to deal with the consequences. Either they
Right.
will win or lose.
See you on Sunday.
So going back to you, if you wish to go out there and push your values, you will either win or you will lose.
So real quick, let me go to Sincere, and then I want to go to Swan, and then Michelle, and then I think that's going to be it. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, one of the things about these lives, they always go in a direction I'm not necessarily knowing ahead of time, but
Smitty, that's my fault. I'm sorry, buddy.
no, you're good. I'm just wishing you would take some of this in, Brian, because I think there's a lot of folks that are really trying to show you a different perspective, especially given your family and folks in your family who are at high risk of being at minimum disrespected by ICE. That I wish you would take some more of this in. But let me let Sincere go ahead, Sincere.
Sir, why the fuck did you come up on Beyonce's TikTok and lie about what went down in the U.S., especially how they acquired this land? Why would you lie like that? And see, this is what I be talking about, Smitty. Y'all don't know the legislation. Y'all don't know what the history is going on in chronological order. Even like what Noah said about the Marxism point. You don't even know the perception of the philosopher. How are we supposed to have a genuine conversation with y'all? And this is why I told you, you are the neighborhood snitch that everybody got their paperwork on and nobody wants to be around. They clear out of the street because they see you coming and they know you got a target on your back. And what you don't understand when I'm using that analogy is that the fact of the matter is that you're saying that you still feel comfortable in your vote and who you voted for what this man is doing currently speaking right now. And People's Crash Out has a very valid point. You just stated what you want. You don't care how y'all want to control with power. As long as y'all still have the power, y'all is good. So if we're going to take that a trope, then let the games begin. I've been ready to go Rambo. Because this is what I'm talking about. This is the lack of empathy and sympathy and realness that none of you people have. And this is my issue. This is why I use the analogy. Sorry, you couldn't be my homeboy if I was on the corner or with the corner boys, because you would get everybody locked up. And this is why people can't trust people like you, because we sit here and twist history when we all know that these white Europeans came over here and played the indigenous folk and made them into slaves, and then not to add insult to injuries, went to Africa and brought about 12 million, right? Brought about 10 million back here because of the voyage and used us as bait. This is exactly why I say what I say, bro. Again, good luck, Chuck.
Thank you, fam. All right, let me go to Swan, and then we're gonna go to Nichelle. Yeah. Go ahead, Swan.
Yes, I'm so mad I'm late. This is a good discussion. I'm so mad I'm late.
It's all good. That's good to have you, though.
Thank you. It's always good to be here. So I don't support immigration customs enforcement agents. I don't. ICE doesn't need to be a thing. It's just a reinforcement of what the United States is now known for, right? We're a capitalist economy. Well, this country has a capitalistic economy, right? And when you reach the peak of capitalism, you engage in imperialism, right? And when it comes to imperialism, we create a lie, right? We go into a country, we pretend like we're fixing something. We take their resources. Maybe we'll, frame how their government is going to function. We exploit the people there, and then we put a military base over there, whatever the case is, or somewhere nearby, and then we end up with resources and things like that. Like it's not necessary. People have human beings, Homo sapiens have survived on the planet without borders, right? Borders, they uphold white supremacy. Most of the borders that exist today globally are borders that were created or implemented via European colonization, right? I think it's really interesting too. I don't think it's necessary. Just upholds white supremacy. That's it. It's not necessary. We don't need it. People have been surviving for hundreds of and thousands of years without them. I also want to say I think it's really interesting the language that was used earlier in the conversation when I came in by a person who said, we won. There was no winning that happened. Taking human beings, right? Deeming them as subhuman, unaliving so many people that it cools the temperature of the planet, still trying to reinforce colonization, right? And the harm that it's caused, neocolonialism, this constant, desperate need to steal, to unalive, to commit G-side, to take resources. That's not winning. That's not winning. That's thievery. It's inhumane. You sat up here, right, Mr. Colonizer, with your non-white partner and said that we won. No one won anything. My ancestors didn't ask for this. Indigenous people, Asian people, people that are Pacific Islander, their ancestors didn't ask for this shit. This is not winning. It's barbaric behavior. And the fact that you would use that term in a conversation like this, and then here's the gag, right? And I'm gonna land with this because Smitty, I know it's time to go. This is the gag. They did this for 500 years, right? They set up these systems and maintained these systems, right? So that they could uphold whiteness and keep their privilege and, benefit from the exploitation and the dehumanization of non-white people globally. But these motherfuckers is disappearing. Make that shit make sense. You're not winning. White people have taken the biggest L in history. You went around the entire planet. You established these systems so that you could benefit from them. And your numbers are still declining. Beloved, that's not a win. It's not a win. I'll end there. Thank you for having me, Smitty.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, man. All right.
Bars.
Let me go to Nichelle. We're gonna close it out with Nichelle. Thank y'all for being here today. I got to tell you, I didn't know if I was gonna go live today. I was debating, and every time I go live, I learn something. Thank y'all to the panelists. Really, really much respect to the panelists. Y'all drop so much knowledge, and I think, from the perspective, there was somebody, Dressing, thank you so much, man, for your support, brother, by the way. You've been incredible. I'm just so blessed, y'all, to have people that want to come onto this panel every day. I know y'all could go to other content creators and y'all come here, and it's really, really much appreciated. And I know I can speak for folks in the chat that DM me, they're like, Smitty, I don't ever make a comment, but ooh, I love me some Swan or some Carolina or some Nichelle or whoever it may be. Just know as content creators, you guys have a lot of folks that look up to you, that appreciate your knowledge. I've been wanting to say that for a minute. So just know that y'all got a lot of love from people that never met a call. Sorry, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Never. Well, keep calling me back. So they love you, they support you, and I just want y'all to know that. Can't only y'all got me cracking up. All right, Nichelle, go ahead, man. Final comment.
No, I'm gonna wait for you to get it out. Nope, I ain't doing that. Nope, go ahead and get your little giggles out. Go ahead on and get your little kikis out.
Go ahead. Drop some picos in the chat for Nichelle. Final comment.
Here we go with the damn pico. You know what? That's okay. That's okay. Stay back. Okay, leave me alone. All right, now listen. This is my final thought after listening to this, and I don't know. Maybe I oscillate between what I feel. I'm not worried about the Bryans. I'm just not. It's exhausting. I'm not worried about the Daniels. I'm not worried about. I'm worried about the 90 million in this election cycle, right? And I know how people feel about voting. Don't come for me. Listen, it's a tool. It is a tool. If it wasn't a tool, okay, they wouldn't be spending millions of dollars and trying to redraw maps and redistrict and gerrymander and suppress. It is a tool. It's not the only tool, but it is a tool. And when we talk about shifting mindset, when we talk about shifting ideology, and recent studies have shown this, right? Where this whole idea of going after disenfranchised MAGA or trying to flip a MAGA, some of these people are just going to believe what they're going to believe. Right? You're not going to dim my shine. You're not going to dim the amazing melanin in my skin. You're not going to change the fact that, I'm the blueprint, right? You're just not going to, I refuse to even engage, right? What I'm concerned about are the 90 million people who were eligible to register and vote in 2024 specifically. There are more people, Smitty, that maybe are on the sidelines who feel some type of way, but when you wake them up and get them engaged, they're more likely to vote along more progressive lines, right? And so while these conversations are great and wonderful and maybe enlightening, maybe listening to some of this ideology will engage them and go, hey, you know what? I don't want to be associated with that. That's not how I feel. Let me get up and do something, right? And get politically engaged, right? People who say that politics don't care, they don't care about politics. Well, guess what? Politics cares about you. If you rent, your landlord cares. If you've got kids in daycare or in school, those administrators care. Your boss cares, right? It's about making all of these political discussions make sense for the everyday American. And that's something that I'm hyper focused on in this election because there's a disconnect, Smitty. There is. And are we going to be able to flip ideology and hatred and bigotry? No, right? The system, as Swan always eloquently says, is literally built and predicated on white supremacism. Those of us are locked in and experience it. We know it. Now, what are we going to do? The call to action is, what are you going to do? There were up to 800 people in this live at one point, and everybody's, sending their chats and doing all the and wonderful engagement. And like Smitty said, we thank you 1000% for that. But now what are you going to do? Are you going to swipe out and just do nothing? Right? Maybe take a moment to get a little bit engaged. Maybe take a moment to reflect on your own self and what that looks like in your everyday interactions with people, with the immigrant community, with the Black and brown community, or if you're a part of the non-melanated community, speaking to your friends and family members. There's always got to be a call to action. Please, I beg of you, don't sit in lives like this, engage and listen to all of the information that you take away and then do nothing, right? You don't have to change the entire world, but you can make a difference in your world. Everybody has a circle of influence. Every single solitary person has a circle of influence. Make a difference. Right? Make sure that you're registered to vote. Make sure that you know who's on your ballot. I know. It can seem boring. My ballot, we're going to do our voting today. Me and Tiff are going to make a day of it, and we're going to go get some food, and we're going to, post about it and be excited. Right? And my ballot has a lot of a lot of people that I gotta, remember. But do the work. Don't do the work. Don't be one of those people that sits back and opines and or sits in a live like this. And while your engagement is always appreciated, don't be one of those people that sits back and feels hopeless and do nothing. Right? Hope is engaging. It can catch fire. Don't lose your hope. I love you, Smitty, even though you told everybody to put peacoats in the damn chat.
That was very, very amazing. Only the bigger spoon would have that kind of.
You know what? This is why. This is why we can't have nice things.
The problem is nobody knows these stories now. How many of y'all know the peacoat and the big spoon references that we're making? Let me see.
I do, and I know the bathtub story too, and the bicycle one
Carolina.
too. So I got it for both of y'all.
Smitty, I feel left out.
Thank you for having my back. Dang.
All right. We may have there's a rumor. It's unsubstantiated, but there may be a Liddy Smitty. Put a 1 in the comments if y'all would come back for a Liddy Smitty tonight. If we have a Liddy Smitty, all the tea is getting dropped.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, if we're gonna do that, let me help my low tech friend here. Okay. I'm gonna help my low tech friend here. No. Let's do this. Let's. platform. Y'all want a Liddy Smitty? Maybe you should do that behind the firewall of Super Chat fans, super fans. You want to hear my degrading story of the peacoat and the spoon?
It's not degrading, fam.
All right, says who? Says who? Okay, says who? Bad choices in my 20s, okay? If you want to know the peacoat story, if you don't already know it, maybe consider becoming a super fan. And then if you hold a super fan live, then I will spill all the tea about the big spoon and the little spoon and the police officer that could and the peacoat that didn't.
What about the Rainforest Cafe, fam?
Oh my God, I can't believe you can remember that part. Oh my God.
That's what you should have known. I don't know. What, brother? Anyway, let me be quiet. I don't want to mess up the story, but that was the red flag when he took you to the damn Rainforest Cafe.
It was the damn flag when he had a navy blue peacoat on with gold brass buttons.
Michi said that's my spot. Okay, maybe I'll hold back, but I was like, Rainforest Cafe. What time? Let's say if you see me on around 7 Pacific, maybe
Go get a bottle and be ready.
I'm be looking for super fans. Listen, the number of super fans, I didn't see the number go up.
Hey, my pockets are tight right now in the show. I can't be left out of this.
I'm just saying.
I've never been to a Liddy Smitty before. I've never been.
Nichelle, would you show love this way?
What I what?
Would you show love this way? I became a super fan.
Oh my God. You know what, Brian? I do want to have a dialogue with you. I want to have a dialogue about getting your passport revoked. But anyway, we'll blame that.
Okay, we're done. Day. We're done. And Smitty and done. And Smitty's on the floor.
It's the colonizer way.
I love you guys.
Love you too, fam. I gotta go. I'll see you tonight.
I love all of you guys. I love you all. Y'all take care. I'll see you soon.